When we think origin stories, our minds go to Bruce Wayne watching his parents perish in that Gotham City alleyway, or Superman Kal-El being sent away in a spaceship from Krypton as his homeworld was destroyed, and many other ones too. But not all superheroes have a succinct origin story as those. Some origin stories dabble into some pretty questionable areas in terms of quality and just general offensiveness. So today we're taking a look at some of them with our list of the top 10 superhero origin controversies. Let's jump in. Starting us off in at number 10, Hit Girl.
But it's really no more painful than a punch in the chest.
Why are you getting punched in the chest?
You're gonna be fine, baby doll.
Hit Girl has always been a controversial character, especially after the live-action Kick-Ass film came out. She brings up a lot of ethical debates about the concept of child superheroes, and she is a superhero who makes use of a whole lot of violence. The character first appeared in issue 3 of the Kick-Ass comic book series as a 10-year-old assassin who works alongside her vigilante father Big Daddy. He's trained her since she was born. The two of them are out to seek revenge for Hit Girl's mother's death caused by the mob. Or, at least, that is what Hit Girl thought they were doing. Turns out, that was a lie. Big Daddy actually kidnapped Hit Girl when she was a baby, manipulated her into hating the mob, and also Democrats, lols, and there was never a mother in the picture. Big Daddy was just a comic book nerd living out a fantasy of fighting crime. This origin story was skimmed over as far as the film adaptations were concerned. Wonder why? In at number 9, the Hulk. Did you know that Bruce Banner's problems with rage sprout from child abuse? The Hulk's origin story is one that many people are familiar with. Bruce Banner was exposed to gamma radiation while trying to save an innocent kid, turning him into the Hulk uncontrollably whenever he got mad. But there's more to his origin than that. Revealed in a 1985 issue of The Incredible Hulk, fans learned that Bruce was abused as a child by his father, who was a violent alcoholic. His father would beat him and accidentally killed Bruce's mother too. Bruce's dad was afraid of his son because of how intelligent he was, even when Bruce was just an infant. In addition to that, after receiving psychiatric treatment in 1991, he would become Professor Hulk, a way more controlled, mellowed version of himself. He even wore full-blown outfits. This did not last long though. Apparently Professor Hulk was just an aspect of Banner's personality, and he wasn't fully cured after all, returning to his angry self eventually. In at number 8, Big Bertha. Eating disorders are no laughing matter, but apparently when Big Bertha was conceived in 1998 and introduced in West Coast Avengers Volume 2 issue 46, their creator John Byrne didn't have tact in mind. Big Bertha, aka Ashley Crawford, is a character who can control her body mass and the distribution of fat on her body. When she grows large, something that she did to gain membership on the Great Lakes Avengers team, she's Big Bertha, capable of lifting incredible amounts of weight. But when she's just doing her thing in day-to-day life, she's crafted a thinner body, turning herself into an actual supermodel. In order to return to her supermodel size, she throws up all of her excess weight. So yeah, that's bulimia, and that is a pretty thing to put in a comic. Or at least in that light. In at number 7, Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner. You'd think with a hero as prominent as Green Lantern, DC would put a lot of effort into crafting an origin story for a new iteration of the character taking up the mantle, right? Wrong. Let's talk about Kyle's origin story. A very undeserved one, in which the character picked up the mantle from Hal Jordan, who'd been put through the rigor in leading up to 1994 with the Emerald Twilight story arc. Along came Kyle, a freelance graphic artist who randomly becomes a Green Lantern when he wanders out back of a heavy metal club to discover a Guardian dying there. The little blue dude starts speaking to Kyle, confuses the dude bro who thinks he's hallucinating. He's also wearing a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt, might I add. And he takes the ring, not even getting an explanation for what it really does. That's that. That's how he gets his ring. And at number 6, Harley Quinn. For a very long time, Harley Quinn was characterized by her abusive relationship with the Joker. As his devout follower and girlfriend, despite the affection often being unrequited, Harley Quinn used to be Harleen Quinzel, a psychiatrist who worked at Arkham and was manipulated so badly by the Joker that she lost her mind, became obsessed with him, and eventually allowed him to toss her into a vat full of acid to fully transform her into his lover and accomplice. In recent times, she's removed herself from the Joker, going on her own adventures as more of an anti-hero, and even developed a romantic relationship with her longtime pal Poison Ivy. Up next at 5, Gin Genie. Oh, Gin Genie. We've featured this more obscure superhero on several of our lists over the years, so longtime fans of our channel should not be surprised that she made it on this one. Created in 2001 and first appearing in X-Force issue 116, Gin Genie Becca Parker is an active superhero whose powers require alcohol in order to function. so she's always drunk, which you can imagine does complicate things in battle. She had pumped a mixture of different alcohols into her bloodstream, which somehow gave her powers that enabled her to create seismic waves, capable of leveling buildings. But her power does not work unless she's borderline blackout drunk. She also died in the same issue in which she appeared, so guess she wasn't that important after all. And at number 4, Jason Todd as the Red Hood. Created in 1983, Jason Todd was the second Robin, the replacement for Dick Grayson as Batman's ward. At first, he was a strawberry blonde carbon copy of Dick, but after Crisis on Infinite Earths, he got a revamp, becoming a morally ambiguous street kid who would disobey Batman and get into all sorts of trouble. He was so disliked that when DC decided to hold a phone poll that would determine his fate, some dude actually programmed his computer to call and vote a bunch of times in order to push the odds against Jason's favor. The storyline, 1988's A Death in the Family, saw Jason getting beaten to a pulp by the Joker with a crowbar. His death would cause great psychological damage to Bruce Wayne, and many comic book creators would eventually speak out about this, saying how it was a pretty terrible thing that DC would do that to a character. The way the phone poll was held and the story was handled was quite controversial. Fast forward to 2005, Jason Todd is resurrected. For years it was believed that he was one of the only 3 characters who would never be brought back from the dead, the other 2 being Uncle Ben and Bucky Barnes. But also the Winter Soldier then, is a thing now. At least Uncle Ben's still dead. His return was controversial. Many believed it was gimmicky, while others felt that it took away from the trauma that had really inspired some interesting characterizations in Batman since. And at number 3, Ebony White. Yep, it's a racial caricature. Ebony White was the sidekick of Will Eisner's The Spirit. Often portrayed as a young boy around the age of 12 years old, his age did fluctuate a lot. Towards the beginning of the strip, he was a taxi driver and sometimes the Spirit's personal driver. While we've never been given a full origin story, Ebony's first appearance was on June 2nd of 1940, driving a taxi, noted to be the Spirit's faithful young friend. His speech patterns are also harmful racist depictions of black people. Eisner made the way that he spoke similar to the way that the character Jim from Huckleberry Finn speaks, making him appear to be uneducated and trained to obey his white master. What's worse is how Eisner would later describe the character. I quote, "At the time, humor consisted in our society of bad English and physical difference in identity." So Eisner didn't even admit that it was racist, and has even discussed how Ebony has a slave mentality. It's just bad. Just bad. And at number 2, Barbara Gordon as Oracle. Although Barbara Gordon has an origin story about how the daughter of GCPD Commissioner James Gordon became a vigilante and a member of the Bat family, the more controversial origin story of hers is when she became Oracle. Barbara has been kicking around since 1967 when she first appeared in Detective Comics issue 359, but it wasn't until 1989 that she took up the mantle of Oracle after she was paralyzed by the Joker in Batman the Killing Joke. That is where the controversy lies. The character was unnecessarily shot and crippled by the Joker and implied to be sexually assaulted as well, as a means to prove a point to Batman and screw with James Gordon. She was a mere plot device. According to Alan Moore, who penned the story and has since expressed regret concerning the treatment of Barbara in it, editor Len Wein has been quoted as saying, "Yeah, okay, cripple the when Moore had asked about approval for the story arc." Speaking of things that are incredibly offensive, that brings us to our final number on our list. And at number 1, Tyroc. Tyroc is one of DC's first black superheroes, which is definitely something to be admired, except for the fact that most of his stories, including his origin, were incredibly racially insensitive. Tyroc, whose name means Scream of the Devil in his native language apparently, was a member of the Legion of Superheroes who has a reality warping scream. The character, created by Cary Bates and Mike Grell, was a racial separatist. Instead of just having the character be a hero who just so happened to be black, they made a big deal about his race. Tyroc hails from a fictional island called Marzal, which is filled with former African slaves who hate the Legion of Superheroes. They're segregated on the island. And when the Legion visits the island, Tyroc tells them, I quote, "Racial prejudice died out long centuries ago, but perhaps the Legion is behind the times." That was in the 1940s, people. That is some f***ed up stuff coming from white writers and white editors at DC. On top of that, co-creator Mike Grell was rumored to have hated having to create Tyroc, so he deliberately made him look ridiculous. I quote, "I gave him a silly costume. It was somewhere between Elvis's Las Vegas costume and something you would imagine a pimp on the street corner wearing." Alright, there we have it, friends. What other origin stories do you think are controversial? Which ones did you find offensive? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know your thoughts and your feels. If you dug this video, you guys know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to Top 10 Nerd if you haven't already, and be sure to click one of the links somewhere around me here to watch another one. In the meantime, I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching, friends. Capable, but apparently what, my mouth is just like, and be sure to do something.